Good morning, children. Children, let me take up the next topic, that is electrochemical cell and Gibbs free energy of the reaction. Children, on the recommendation of IUPAC, the term Gibbs free energy is changed into Gibbs energy and the term free is removed. Children, Gibbs energy denoted as G is nothing but energy available with a system to do useful work. Now, the maximum work done by the system is nothing but change in Gibbs energy. Let me write the maximum work done by the system is equal to minus delta G. Children, tell me, what does minus or the negative sign indicate here? Negative sign indicates the work done by the system. Hope you got it. Children, the work done by the galvanic cell to move the charge can be given as galvanic cell to move the charge is given as, look at here, Q into V. Q into V. Children, where Q is nothing but the charge and V is nothing but potential difference between the two electrodes. Hope you are getting that. The difference in potential between the two electrodes in a galvanic cell is nothing but cell potential, otherwise called E cell. Let me write, in that case, look at here, V is equal to E cell. Hope you got it, right? Children, in the galvanic cell, the amount of charge required to oxidize 1 mole of oxidizable species or to reduce 1 mole of reducible species is given by, look at here, Q is equal to N into F, where N is nothing but number of moles of electrons required for either for oxidizing or for reducing the species. Children, in that case, the work done by the galvanic cell can given as, look at here, work done by the galvanic cell is given as, what that? Q into V. Is it not? What is work done by the galvanic cell? Nothing but delta minus delta G. I'll write minus delta G. What is Q here? Q is nothing but what? NF. NF into V. V is nothing but E cell. Or delta G is equal to minus NF into E cell. This you need to remember. Children, imagine the galvanic cell is under standard condition of 298 Kelvin. In that case, look at here, it can be changed into delta G minus NF E naught cell. E naught cell represent the galvanic cell is under standard condition of 298 Kelvin or 25 degree Celsius. Children, you know that according to Nernst equation, look at here, E naught cell is equal to 2.303 RT by NF into log of Kc. This you are learnt under the relationship between Nernst equation and equilibrium constant. Children, let me substitute the E naught cell value here in this. Look at here, delta G is equal to minus NF into 2.303 RT log Kc upon NF. Children, look at here, you can cancel this. You are going to get delta G is equal to minus 2.303 RT to log Kc. Hope you're getting that. This is one of the important expression because you are going to solve some of the numericals on this expression. Children, let me take up the third part of the unit electrochemistry, that is the conductance of a cell. The power of an electrolyte to conduct electricity is called conductance of a cell. Children, let me consider one of the electrolytic cell containing electrolytic solution and two electrode dipped in it. Let me draw the diagram. Look at here. So this is what the electrolytic cell or the compartment in which I have taken electrolytic solution. Now I am going to dip two electrodes into this solution, and these two are in turn connected to battery and an ohmmeter to measure the electric current. Not only that, these two also connected to voltmeter to measure potential difference, and the distance of separation between the two electrodes is L. Children, in electrolytic cells also Ohm's law holds good. Children, according to Ohm's law, electric current is directly proportional to the potential difference between the two electrodes. In that case, look at here, how to write I is directly proportional to V, or V is directly proportional to I. Let me remove the proportionality sign here. V is equal to R into I, where R is what? R is resistance, and the SI unit of resistance is ohm. What is that? Ohm. Children, resistance is directly proportional to the distance of separation between the electrodes and inversely proportional to the surface area of the electrode. In that case, look at here, R is directly proportional to distance of separation between the electrodes, that is L. Not only that, R is inversely proportional to the surface area of the electrode. In that case, look at here, R is directly proportional to L by A. Hope you're getting. Now let me remove this proportionality sign. Look at here, R is equal to rho into L by A. This expression is important for solving some of the numericals later. Look at here, rho is what? Specific resistance. Specific resistance, or is also called resistivity. Resistivity, where L by A is nothing but cell constant. Cell constant. Remember, all these terms you have learnt under physics. Children, in chemistry we are not using resistance or resistivity. Instead, we are going to take up what you call as conductance and conductivity. Children, just now you have learned that Ohm's law holds good in the case of conductance and conductivity also. In that case, electric current is directly proportional to potential difference between the two electrodes. So let me remove this proportionality sign here. Look at here, I is equal to C into V. Children, remember, C is nothing but conductance. What is that? Conductance, and it is inverse of resistance. That means the unit of conductance is mho or ohm inverse. Sometimes you also use what you call as Siemens. That is 1 Siemens is equal to 1 ohm inverse. That you need to remember. Children, conductance is directly proportional to area of the electrode and inversely proportional to distance of separation between the electrodes. In that case, look at here, C is directly proportional to area of the electrode and inversely proportional to distance of separation between the two electrodes. Look at here, C is directly proportional to A by L. Let me remove this professional sign. C is equal to K into A by L, where K is nothing but specific conductance or is also called conductivity or kappa. Children, let me reshuffle. Look at here, K is equal to, okay, C into L upon A. Now look at here, L by A is nothing but, what is this? Cell constant. Children, remember, if area is equal to 1 meter square and length is equal to 1 meter, then look at here, K is equal to C. That means conductance of a material whose length is 1 meter and the area of cross section is 1 meter square. Children, conductivity is defined as conductance of 1 meter cube of the conductor. Children, after understanding conductance and conductivity, let me take up the next topic, that is conductors, insulators, semiconductors and superconductors. Children, materials can be classified into 4 different types depending upon the magnitude of their conductivity. Remember, metals and their alloys have very large conductivity and they are known as conductors, whereas the materials which have very low conductivity, they are called insulators, and you can quote the examples like plastic, ceramics, glass, etc. Children, the materials whose conductivity is in between conductors and insulators are called semiconductors, and you can quote the examples of silicon and germanium doped with 13th or 15th group of elements. But the most important one is superconductors. Children, the materials which conduct electricity or transport electrons from one atom to another atom with no resistance, that is zero resistivity or infinite conductivity, are called superconductors. At this juncture, let me introduce 2 terms for you. Number 1, metallic conductance, which is also called electronic conductance. Number 2, electrolytic conductance, which is also called ionic conductance. Let me take up the first one, that is metallic conductance. Children, electrical conductance through metals is called metallic conductance or electronic conductance, as it involves the movement of the electrons. Children, the metallic conductance or the electronic conductance depends upon 3 factors. Number 1, nature of the metal. Number 2, number of valence electrons per atom. Number 3, temperature. Those things we'll see later when I take up separately under conductance of metals. Now let me go for the second one. What is that? Electrolytic conductance, otherwise called ionic conductance. Children, the conductance of electricity by ions present in the electrolytic solution is called electrolytic conductance. Then why do we call it as ionic conductance? Because the electrical conductance occurs due to the ions present in the solution, hence it is called ionic conductance. Children, after understanding ionic conductance or electrolytic conductance, let me take up the factors affecting the electrolytic conductance or ionic conductance. I am going to discuss three factors which affects electrolytic conductance. Let me take up the first one, that is nature of electrolyte, which is nothing but strength of an electrolyte. Children, the conductance of an electrolyte depends upon the number of ions present in the solution. Therefore, greater the number of ions produced by the electrolyte in solution, the greater is the conductance. Children, the number of ions produced by an electrolyte depends upon its nature. Remember, electrolyte can be classified into two types. Number one, strong electrolyte. Other one, weak electrolyte. Let me quote some example for the strong electrolyte. We have HCl, NaCl, etc. Whereas weak electrolyte, let me quote acetic acid or ethanoic acid. Children, strong electrolyte undergo complete dissociation to produce a large number of ions in solution, whereas weak electrolyte undergo incomplete dissociation to produce fewer or lesser number of ions in the solution. Let me quote an example here. Remember, if I compare 1 molar HCl with 1 molar acetic acid, definitely can guess which one is a better conductor. You would say that the conductance of 1 molar HCl is more than that of the 1 molar acetic acid, because HCl is a strong electrolyte which undergo complete dissociation to produce a more number of ions than in the case of acetic acid, which is a weak electrolyte which undergo incomplete dissociation to produce less number of ions. That is why nature of electrolyte play an important role. Let me go for the second one, nature of ions. Nature of ions. Children, under that, number one, charge on the ion. Children, the charge on the ion play an important role in the conductance of an electrolyte, because higher the charge on the ion, greater is the conductance. Let me quote an example here, Mg2 plus and Na plus. Look at here, Mg ion is carrying +2 charges, whereas sodium is having +1 charge. I said greater the charge, better is the conductance. That means magnesium ion carries 2 electrons because it is having 2 positive charges, whereas it is having only one, it carry only 1 electron. That means conductance of an ion depends directly on the charge present on the ion. Second one, we have mobility of ion. What is that? Mobility of ion. Children, mobility of the ion in the solution depends on, the ionic size. What is that? Ionic size. That means higher the ionic size, lesser is the conductance. Lesser the ionic size, more will be the conductance. Let me quote an example. Look at here, lithium plus ion, and I'm having sodium plus ion. Look at here, ionic size of sodium is more than that of lithium. That means lithium moves very fast in the solution than in the sodium. That is why conductance of electrolyte containing lithium will be better than the sodium. You can compare with elephant and horse. This you can compare with horse, and this you can compare with elephant. Which one runs fast? You say that horse, because the size matters here. Third one, solvation. Children, solvation is nothing but association and attraction of water molecules around the ion. Remember, lithium plus undergo much association with the water and hence exhibit a solvation to a greater degree. Look at here, all these are water molecules. Now sodium does not undergo solvation. Null. Look at here, though the size of a lithium is a lesser, but it undergoes solvation and hence the mobility decreases, whereas sodium does not. Hence mobility is more with the sodium ions. That is why conductance in case of lithium ion is lesser than the sodium. You can compare. Look at here. Imagine I am going to tie this horse to a cart carrying 4 persons. What will happen? It becomes heavier. Now look at here. Elephant. I am not going to put any cart there. What will happen? It goes smoothly but faster than the horse, which is tied to a cart and having 4 persons. That means it becomes heavier. Hope you got it. So that is what the solvation plays an important role in the conductance of what that electrolyte in solution. And the third one is what is that? Temperature. Children, temperature play an important role because with increasing temperature, dissociation constant value also increases. As the dissociation constant increases, that means the dissociation of the electrolyte increases and thereby number of ions per unit volume also increases. In turn, the conductance of that electrolyte also increases. Not only that, with increase in temperature, the mobility of the ion increases. Tell me why? Because kinetic energy of the ions also increases. That is why with increase in temperature, electrolytic conductance of a particular electrolyte also increases. So these are the 3 important factors which affects the electrolytic conductance. Hope you understood. Let me go for the next topic. Children, let me take up the next topic, that is molar conductivity, denoted as lambda m. This is one of the very important topic for the board examination. Not only for the board examination, children, this is very important as far as the competitive examination that you are going to take after your class 12th. Children, in the case of metal, conductivity depends upon 2 factors. Number 1, nature of the metal and the temperature. For example, gold and copper are having different conductivity at a given temperature, whereas in the case of electrolytic conduction, children, remember the conductivity not only depends upon temperature and nature of electrolyte but also the concentration of the solution. Remember, the concentration of the solution of an electrolyte is more than the conductivity of that solution is also on the higher side. That means if the concentration of the electrolytic solution is high, more number of ions will be there. More the ions in the electrolytic solution, more is the electrolytic conductivity of that electrolyte. Remember, in case of electrolytic conductivity or conduction, we need to have an appropriate term for the conduction, and that is what? Molar conductivity, otherwise called lambda m. Children, let me consider an electrolytic cell. Look at here. Imagine I am going to take an electrolytic cell. In this electrolytic cell of volume 1 meter cube, I am going to take 1 mole of electrolyte dissolved in water. Look at here, 1 mole of electrolyte. Children, the conductance of 1 molar electrolyte in electrolytic cell with the volume 1 meter cube is called molar conductivity. Children, molar conductivity is defined as the conductivity of 1 mole of electrolyte. Otherwise, we can also say that the conductance due to 1 mole of electrolyte is also called molar conductivity. Let me define again. The conductivity of 1 mole of electrolyte is called molar conductivity. Otherwise, conductance due to 1 mole of electrolyte is also called molar conductivity. Hope you understand. Now let me go for the relationship between molar conductivity and conductivity denoted as K kappa. Children, look at here. Molar conductivity is related to kappa, like K by C, where K is nothing but kappa, that is conductivity. Hope you understand that, right? C is nothing but concentration in terms of molarity. Children, you know the unit of concentration in terms of molarity. Tell me, what is that? It is mole per meter cube. Is it not? Whereas the unit of conductivity is Siemens per meter. In that case, what would be the unit of lambda m, or what do you call this, molar conductivity? Look at here. Lambda m is equal to, what is K? K is Siemens per meter upon, we have, what is that? Mole per meter cube. In that case, the unit of lambda m or the molar conductivity is Siemens meter square per mole. Children, this you need to remember. Now look at here. We have two expressions for lambda m. Look at here. Lambda m is equal to K upon 1000 into C, if K is given in terms of Siemens per meter, or lambda m can also be given as K into 1000 upon C if K is given in terms of Siemens per centimeter. Children, these two expressions are very important for solving some of the numericals. Children, after learning about conductivity and molar conductivity, let me go for the next topic, that is variation of conductivity and molar conductivity with concentration. Remember, both conductivity and molar conductivity changes with the change in concentration of an electrolyte in its solution. Children, we are not going to study change in conductivity and molar conductivity with increasing concentration of electrolyte in a solution. Instead, we are restricting ourselves only for change in conductivity and molar conductivity with a decrease in concentration of an electrolyte in a solution. In other words, we are restricting for the effect of dilution on conductivity and molar conductivity in a solution. Let me take up the first one, that is variation of conductivity with the dilution. Children, conductivity refers to conductance of 1 meter cube of the solution or a conductor. Remember, conductivity always decreases with a decrease in concentration for both weak and strong electrolyte. This can be explained by the fact that the number of ions per unit volume that carry the electric current in the solution decreases with the dilution. Children, the decrease in conductivity with the dilution is sharp in the case of strong electrolyte, but gradual in the case of weak electrolyte. I repeat again, the decrease in conductivity for strong electrolyte like NaCl is sharp, whereas for weak electrolyte like say acetic acid or ethanoic acid, the decrease in conductivity is gradual. Now the question is, what may be the reason for sharp decrease in conductivity for strong electrolyte and gradual decrease in conductivity for weak electrolyte? Children, In case of a strong electrolyte, the dissociation of electrolyte is almost complete in its solution, and dilution does not cause any more dissociation of electrolyte in the solution. Only effect of dilution is that it decreases the number of ions per unit volume and thereby decreasing the conductivity with dilution very sharply. Children, in the case of weak electrolyte, weak electrolyte undergo partial dissociation in the solution, but on dilution, the weak electrolyte further undergo dissociation to increase the number of ions per unit volume. That means the decrease in number of ions per unit volume is compensated by the increase in dissociation, so that the number of ions increases in the solution per unit volume, and therefore the decrease in conductivity in the case of weak electrolyte is gradual but not sharp as in the case of strong electrolyte. Hope you understand that. Let me go for the second one. What is that? Variation of molar conductivity with dilution. Children, after understanding variation of conductivity with dilution, let me go for the second one, variation of molar conductivity with dilution. Molar conductivity is nothing but conductance of 1 mole of an electrolyte. Children, molar conductivity increases with a decrease in concentration of an electrolyte for both strong as well as a weak electrolyte. In other words, increase in molar conductivity with dilution is seen in case of both strong electrolyte as well as weak electrolyte. Children, you can understand increase in molar conductivity with dilution by plotting a graph of molar conductivity versus square root of concentration. From the graph, it is very clear for a weak electrolyte, molar conductivity increases very sharply, whereas for a strong electrolyte, molar conductivity increases gradually. Now the question is, what is the reason for increase in molar conductivity in the case of weak electrolyte sharply and in the case of strong electrolyte gradually? Let me take up the first one, that is for weak electrolyte. Let me quote an example: acetic acid or ethanoic acid. Children, you are aware that weak electrolyte undergo partial dissociation in the case of solution. Is it not? As it undergo partial dissociation in solution, when dilution takes place, there is a chance for weak electrolyte undergo further dissociation, so that the number of ions per unit volume increases. Not only that, the mobility of the ions also increases. Children, because of these two reasons, number one, increase in number of ions per unit volume and increase in mobility of the ions, the molar conductivity in the case of weak electrolyte is very sharp. Hope you got it. Let me go for the strong electrolyte. Children, let me quote an example for strong electrolyte like potassium chloride. Children, you know that strong electrolyte undergo complete dissociation in solution. Further dilution does not bring any dilution. So because of that, number of ions are not going to increase per unit volume on dilution. But of course, the mobility of the ions increases because there is a decrease in intra-ionic forces which are acting between the ions. Because of that only, children, molar conductivity increases on dilution for strong electrolyte, but it is gradual. That you need to remember. Hope you understand both the variation of conductivity and molar conductivity with the dilution. Children, at this point of juncture, let me introduce one more term called limiting molar conductivity. Which is denoted by lambda m naught or lambda m infinite. Children, look at here. In the case of strong electrolyte, as I said, increase in molar conductivity is very sharp, and you can extrapolate this graph to zero concentration. That means molar conductivity at a zero concentration is called limiting molar conductivity, denoted as lambda m infinite or lambda naught. In other words, molar conductivity at a zero concentration is called limiting molar conductivity. Hope you understand that. Children, in the case of weak electrolyte, the graph is almost parallel to y-axis. That means it is not possible for me to extrapolate the graph for weak electrolyte to zero concentration. In other words, it is not possible to find out limiting molar conductivity for weak electrolyte by extrapolating or extending the graph. Children, of course, you can calculate limiting molar conductivity for weak electrolyte by a law called Kohlrausch law of independent migration of ions. Children, let me take up one of the very important topic for the board examination, that is Kohlrausch law of independent migration of ions. Children, Kohlrausch, after performing many experiments with the molar conductivity at infinite dilution for various electrolytes, come out with a law called Kohlrausch law of independent migration of ions. This law states that molar conductivity at infinite dilution for an electrolyte can be expressed or represented as the sum of the individual contribution of all the cations and anions of an electrolyte. Let me put that in the form of an expression. Children, look at here. Lambda m naught is equal to V plus lambda plus naught, V minus lambda naught minus, where V plus refers to number of cations, whereas V minus refers to number of anions. Children, whereas lambda naught plus refers to molar conductivity of cations, whereas lambda naught minus refers to molar conductivity of anion. Children, let me quote some of the particular examples. I'll write here. NaCl. Look at here, how do I write? Lambda Na plus naught plus lambda Cl minus naught. This for NaCl. Let me write for MgCl2, magnesium chloride. Look at here. Lambda naught Mg2 plus. Look at here, on dissociation you are going to get 2 chloride ions, is it not? That means number of ions is equal to 2. 2 into lambda naught Cl minus. Let me go for one more example. Look at here, lambda naught Al2 SO4 thrice. What is this? Aluminium sulfate. How do I write? Look at here. On dissociation of aluminium sulfate in solution, you are going to get 2 aluminium ions, whereas 3 sulfate ions. Let me write 2 lambda naught Al3 plus 3 lambda naught SO4 2 minus. So this is how you are going to express Kohlrausch law for any kind of electrolyte. Children, after understanding Kohlrausch law of independent migration of ions, let me take up the applications of Kohlrausch law. There are three applications of Kohlrausch law which are very important for the examination. Let me take up the first one, that is calculation of limiting molar conductivity of a weak electrolyte. Children, while discussing about variation of a molar conductivity with dilution, I said limiting molar conductivity of a strong electrolyte can be easily found out by extending the graph of strong electrolyte, is it not, to a zero concentration. Whereas it is not possible to find out the limiting molar conductivity of a weak electrolyte, because you have seen that the graph was almost parallel to y-axis. It is not possible to extend the graph of weak electrolyte to zero concentration. But you can determine or calculate the limiting molar conductivity of a weak electrolyte by using Kohlrausch law. Let me take up an example. Look at here. Limiting molar conductivity of, say, CH3COH. What is this? Acetic acid. That is equal to individual contribution of ions. Limiting molar conductivity of CH3CO minus plus limiting molar conductivity of H plus ions. Now look at here. How do I get limiting molar conductivity of CH3COO minus Na plus, that is sodium acetate, is a strong electrolyte, plus limiting molar conductivity of hydrochloric acid. This is also strong electrolyte, is it not? Remember, the limiting molar conductivity of a strong electrolyte can be obtained by extending the graph to zero concentration, is it not? Now minus, what is extra here? Look at here. From the acetic acid, CH3CO minus H plus, is it not? From here, I'll remove Na plus and Cl minus, then you are going to get CH3COH. Hope you are getting? Now, limiting molar conductivity of NaCl. So, by this way, we can easily get limiting molar conductivity of a weak electrolyte, in this case, acetic acid. Let me quote one more example. Look at here. Limiting molar conductivity of NH4OH. Ammonium hydroxide is a weak base. Look at here, you can write limiting molar conductivity of individual ions NH4 plus limiting molar conductivity of OH minus. How do I get? Look at here, limiting molar conductivity of ammonium chloride is a strong electrolyte, plus limiting molar conductivity of sodium hydroxide. Again, it is a strong electrolyte. Now, what is extra here? Children, what is extra? You can easily get. Look at here. Na is extra, Cl is extra. I need to remove that. What do I do? Minus limiting molar conductivity of NaCl. Look at here. Ammonium chloride, sodium hydroxide and sodium chloride. All of them are strong electrolyte, and you can easily get limiting molar conductivity of any strong electrolyte by extending the graph to zero concentration. Okay, the second one, calculation of degree of dissociation of a weak electrolyte. Look at here. Degree of dissociation alpha is equal to lambda m c upon lambda m infinite or 0. Look at here, what is this lambda MC? Nothing but molar conductivity at given concentration, whereas lambda m naught is molar conductivity at zero concentration. Hope you got it. This is nothing but limiting molar conductivity. Now third one, calculation of dissociation constant. Dissociation constant, that is K of a weak electrolyte. How do I do? Look at here. K is equal to C alpha square upon 1 minus alpha, where C is nothing but concentration, alpha you know that what is that degree of dissociation. In this way we can use Kohlrausch law for finding limiting molar conductivity of weak electrolyte, degree of dissociation of weak electrolyte, and dissociation constant of a weak electrolyte. Children, let me take up a small topic for you, concentration cells. Though it is a small topic but very important for the competitive examination, because you may get some of the numerical on concentration cells. If electrodes of the same metal are dipped separately into two solutions of the same electrolyte having a different concentration and connected through a salt bridge, such cells are called concentration cells. Remember, in these concentration cells, oxidation takes place on the electrode with a lower concentration, while reduction takes place on the electrode with higher concentration. Let me quote some of the examples, children. Number 1, Cu solid bar Cu2 plus C1 double bar Cu2 plus C2 bar Cu solid. Children, this is what the cell representation for this copper. So look at here. In this case, this is A. In this case, this is C, and this is what the salt bridge. That is what you all learned. A, B, C of cell representation. A stands for anode, B stands for salt bridge, C stands for cathode. That means reduction takes place on the electrode with higher concentration, whereas oxidation takes place at an electrode with lower concentration. Let me quote one more example. Zinc solid bar zinc 2 plus C1 double bar zinc 2 plus C2 concentration bar Zn. Yes. Children, you can find out electromotive force or the cell potential for a concentration cell at 298 Kelvin by using an expression. Let me write. Look at here. EMF, nothing but cell potential, is equal to 0.0591 upon N into log of C2 upon C1. By using this expression, we can easily find out cell potential of concentration cell.